Hey, welcome to the Danger Zone. It's Ashley. Everything in this video can be found on a public domain in the full disclaimers down below. I wish you lots of love and many blessings your way. Meghan is a complete embarrassment. Harry's dense as a log. He should be extremely embarrassed to even be associated with her, much less married to her. Let's get on with it. I gotta say this and get it out of the way before I go any further. By Meghan showing up to this most powerful woman's events, looking the way that she did, she just put her hair in a side swoop. Her makeup was just too much. And that outfit, that top, with the strategically placed markings over her breast. Don't call yourself an empowered woman when you are trying to divert eyes to the wrong place. Exactly as Miss Celeste said, you can't buy class. She should have been totally dressed. Truly. Looking a bit better than this. Look like an empowered woman. If you're going to show up at the most powerful woman event, look like the most powerful woman. And most definitely, if you're going to sit there and rip people off for $2,000 just to log in and look at you, seeing her warped, twisted up mind, that narcissism kicks in, she's doing you a favor. And that's how she truly sees it. Just by the way she shows up to this event, whether she's sitting on her couch or she's sitting in a studio somewhere, the way you present yourself speaks volumes as to how you feel about, the event or the situation you're in. Here's what I noticed, and I didn't have to pay almost $2,000 to catch a glimpse. She took total advantage of the platform that she was given. She used it to her benefit. The lady simply asked, "Can you give any advice to young girls that are coming up working on their brand?" And what does she do? She doesn't give any solid advice other than what benefits her campaign that she and Hairball are stuck on right now. She goes on to talk about how social media is a dark, dingy place. And she tells yet again another whopper saying, "I don't go online. It just doesn't do me any good to go and read that stuff or see that stuff," or whatever. However she put it, that's the gist of it. And you and I both know that's a dang lie. She's more addicted to this social media stuff than she accuses everybody else of being. She knows the business, positive or negative, as long as your name's out there. You know what I mean? You gotta keep your name out there, and it doesn't matter by what negativity is being said, what positivity is being said. As long as your name's being circulated, that's the better for you. And let me tell you something. She lied about being on social media currently. I know that's a lie. We all know that's a lie. That can't possibly be the truth. Because if she wasn't online, she wouldn't be trying to shove this campaign down everybody's throats, which is she and Harry are going to all the big businesses that give ad revenue to people like myself or any other creator for sharing our opinion, which totally differs from hers. So if it wasn't a part of your life and you really don't pay attention to it, why are you complaining about it? You wouldn't know otherwise, right? So here's where she messed up. She's not smart enough to really, and I hate to say it because it sounds ugly on my end, but she's really not as smart as she gives herself credit for. So when she compared social media users to drug addicts, man, she wasn't thinking before it flew out of her face. I thought that she and Harry both were the authority on mental health. Does she not realize that the ADA, the American Disability Act, it recognizes drug addiction as a disability? Classified as a mental illness, and she would know this if she was on top of her game. It is a statistically proven fact that 100% of drug addicts have some form of mental illness. And you were either born with that mental illness or something along the way in your life has caused it. So by her bellying up to the screen and letting everybody know her words of wisdom, social media users are no different than drug users? Come on now. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. One of them. And she said drug addicts like it was a bad thing, like you're just a rotten, nasty, bottom feeder of a person if you're addicted to drugs. She's so ignorant. Does she think people just wake up out of bed one day and say, I think I'll screw everything up in my life for the next 15, 20, 30, 40 years and start using drugs today? When folks pick up drugs and start using them and they become full drug addicts, there's a reason. It's due to coping skills and a lack thereof. They cannot cope with life. They have something that's blocking them. They just can't do it. And they can't function. And maybe that particular drug makes them feel better, makes them feel as if they can function and cope through life. She has no clue and no right. It's called self-medicating, and people do it with a lot more than just drugs. There's people that are food addicts. There's people that are liars, habitual liars, make up fake pregnancies. There's people that have to have money, and it's never ever enough no matter how much they have. People that shop all the time, spend every dime they have on materialistic things. There's folks out there that find a relief in all sorts of attention. Maybe they can't get enough. Affection from strangers. Can't get enough. An addiction is an addiction. And there's nobody with an addiction any better than the next with a different addiction. It's so funny how people forget where they once were. And maybe still are. And that's coming from the same person that thought it would be cute to pass weed out during her wedding to Trevor Ingleson. That's super tacky, y'all. How can she sit there on her throne pointing her finger down at anybody when she herself has a past and a present? That day that she went to the tennis match and had everybody clear out and move, man, she was high as a kite. In my opinion, I'm outside looking in. She was cared for and looked after and raised by somebody that totally admits to being a drug user during the time he raised her. Which totally explains, in my opinion, why he told her, a face without freckles is like a night sky without stars. Puke bucket, please. That joker was high when he was high as a kite. Now, for her to be dogging social media, it sure made a really good living for her. Did you know she made $120,000 plus every year she was on the TIG? Sure did. I wonder how many pairs of shoes she bought for herself with that ad revenue. She's a dang hypocrite. That's what she is through and through. Okay, so this, what I'm about to tell you, comes from my buddy D. And my buddy D is a British lady. She lives over in England. And without putting her identity at risk, I'm just going to give you this clue as to who she is. Her husband was one of the best musicians in the business. He and his bandmates are absolute legends. I just want to say thank you to Dee for sharing this with us. A couple of months before Charles had his 70th birthday party, he stepped out with a face injury. It was kind of like a black eye and a red whelp, and he wore this injury for like 2 months, and the paper was making fun of him, calling him Calamity Charles. Now here's how the story goes. Allegedly, Charles had called Meghan over to the Clarence house to have a couple drinks and talk about how to behave. This was right around the same time that Camilla and Charles had a big falling out, and she went and stayed at the house that her first husband bought her. And during this time spent together alone at Clarence's house, Meghan got upset with Charles during their little drinking visit. She hauled off and hit him in the face. So when Camilla finally returned home, Charles, was asked, what happened to your face? He told her, Meghan hit me in the face. Well, why? Well, because I told her we don't carry on and act and behave this way in the royal family. For some reason, Camilla bought that hook, line, and sinker. Now, she did ban Meghan from her house. But that's not what happened. I hope y'all are having a good day today. I'll see you soon and we'll talk fast. Please stay safe and be blessed.